You are listening to the Iconic Agent New Construction Marketing Podcast.
I'm Nathaniel Crawford.
And I'm Damon Green.
We've helped agents sell over $400 million in new construction since 2020.
And now we're here to skyrocket your sales. Let's build your real estate empire and create the life you deserve. In this episode, you get another behind-the-scenes look at how we show iconic agents to select the right properties and communities, the difference between sales teams for condos and sales reps for single families, and much more. Listen in for some juicy detail. All right, so you liked Envy. Is there anything else about Envy you like?
Besides the personable, that's about it.
Okay, what was your second favorite? What was the demand on that?
I haven't looked on that yet.
Okay, let's look on that as well. What was your second favorite?
I like Shoma Bay Village in Miami.
Okay.
For my preference, I like it because they're also building the Publix right next. So that's just a personal preference.
How was your relationship?
I don't particularly care for the communication because it's hard to get an email or communication back from her so quickly.
Have you met her?
I met her face to face.
How was that?
Very personable.
Okay. Now, see, that's one of the things I want you guys to consider. Like she said, she's very personable. Miami from here is only 30 minutes, no traffic.
Right.
With traffic, hour and a half. That's one thing, but she can't get any contact with them.
The turnover is hard. It's hard to get a reply quickly.
Yeah, so if you have somebody like, hey, what about this? It's going to take an hour and a half to drive down there.
Right.
That's something you want to consider.
Mm-hmm.
The sales staff. So we're having two different scenarios here. For a lot of single family stuff, it's always developers, right? So if you're going to a Lennar community, there are Lennar people in that community. If you leave there and go to a DR Horton community, different sales staff, different thing. In the case of what the projects that Joya just mentioned, Envy is being handled by the same sales team or sales organization as Shoma Bay. One of the things you may be able to do there is ask if she knows whoever you're talking to at Shoma Bay.
Okay.
Because if knows them, we all know these are people. People have little cliques or whatever.
Right.
When she knows that you know Gabby, then her response may or may not change, right?
Sure.
Oh, okay. So you're working at them over at Envy, because ISG is relatively small organization.
Mm-hmm.
So that may change how quickly she responds. And I know Shoma Bay is getting they get a lot of traffic over there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably a little different. I love, but the reason she and they're so responsive right now is because they're trying to get those 50 units done.
Yeah.
And then once the 50 units pass, then they're going to be busy too. Kind of like dealing with, you mentioned Bentley, dealing with Melissa over at Bentley. She's great, but sometimes she'll take a long time to respond because they get so many inquiries.
Mm-hmm.
And until you get some momentum with them, then you're sort of just an agent I know,
right,
as opposed to these are my preferred agents. Right. Yeah, or I have some sort of relationship with them. So part of what you would do in that particular scenario is you can just, next time you go past the Envy, even if you do it, one day this week, when you talk to, ask her if she knows the person you're talking to at Shoma Bay. Because if you like Shoma Bay better, then you can say, hey, well, I want to work with you. And they're two completely different products, right? Shoma Bay is a very specific luxury product, and that North Bay Village community is completely different than Envy.
Yeah.
Just not the same buyer.
Yeah.
So I don't think you feel any type of way about, you know what I mean? Because you're not bringing this, there are two different people. So,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So there may be a way for you to name drop and get her to respond a little bit better if that ends up being the building that you go with.
Okay.
What about the switch team?
Umbrella, in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, Umbrella.
Yes. It's economically on the smart side, or not too high.
Okay.
Affordable.
Okay.
I like the area that it's in. It's a lot of traffic.
Yeah, that's right off Las Olas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which one is, because you work, you have a full-time part-time.
Full-time.
Which is most convenient for you being a full-time consider that?
I would say the Envy, the Umbrella, and the Viceroy.
All right, keep those. I would consider that because you're still full time trying to get to Miami. There might still be something there, like what Nate said, but these are the things you guys want to consider because this whole process is built around. I had conversations with the agents that are like, okay, they live here in Pompano, but they'll go all the way down to Homestead, all the way up to Gainesville, and anywhere in between. And I'm like, it's a lot of driving. Yeah, you see, look at her face. That's not the lick. Yes. And I was like, you don't have to do that. And you guys have probably heard me say this, and it literally, I can do this, is walk out of your house in your fuzzy slippers. She hasn't got many fuzzy slippers yet, but you can walk out of your house in your fuzzy slippers and bathrobe to the sales center and meet a client. That's why this is built. So you don't have to. You can if you like to drive. Some people like to drive. I don't mind driving on occasion. Like I'm actually working in St. Pete too. That's about an hour away each way. But St. Pete, I love St. Pete. Like we love St. Pete. So I don't mind driving, but I live in a spot where it's brand new. They're still building a whole bunch. And I can literally just get on my longboard and ride down to the sales center of any other places or ride my bike or drive. It's right there and it's super popular. So you want to consider that if that's your thing. If you're like, nope, like I don't mind driving to St. Pete. I'll sit in traffic, do whatever to do that because I like St. Pete and I can hang out there or do whatever. But if you're like, you're working full time, it's more convenient to, on my lunch break, oh, you know what? I can meet you over at Unbell. Consider those things. But I want you, like, if you two help each other on the demand, you guys got questions, just because that's, as we're moving, you guys are going to be helping each other, like over each other's shoulder. We'll help you as well. But if you guys can get the demand, because I'm curious as to how popular that is. Okay. And we talked about this at some point. I haven't done any research on Viceroy, but one of the things you want to consider is, we talked about this on Monday, the copyright, the trademark. Because if the phrase is trademarked and we're trying to run like, what's it called? What do we do? Four Seasons. Four Seasons is trademark. There's ways around it. You can do like F.OUR seasons. We can bid on the keywords, but in the ad, which is where we'll talk about that tomorrow, but in the ad, everything needs to be congruent. You want to make sure you can't, so we use for Disney, you can't use trademark terms in your actual ad, which using the name of the community and the area helps out. But if it's trademarked, most of the community names aren't. We stay away from doing the builders because the builders are trademarked. And that's either one, you get a cease and desist from the builder, or two, you'll get Google telling you, we're going to spend your money, but we're only going to show you this much instead of this much because this is trademarked. Until you show us documentation, you're allowed to do this. So Viceroy might be a thing.
Is that the same situation with the Benton?
Yes. Same situation with a Bentley. Now, I don't know if it's the same because we didn't run there. I'm just telling you that as a word of caution because you'll find out if you run it and it says, hey, this is a trademark term. Oh, okay. There you go. Yes, that is Gil. And you push us. Okay. What?
No.
Okay. Well, we try not to get around it. We'll do something different. And then that would be something that I call it put in your back pocket. So for instance, I think she had said something about the communication. If that was a thing before Nate hopped in, I would say, okay, put that in your back pocket, because if you have to take a client there and sell them Shoma Bay, if it doesn't work out, that's great, but we're not going to market Shoma Bay because there can be friction there. And that friction is just going to continue. We want to flow as much as possible.
People come in, only about 30% of the people who come into your funnel for a particular property are going to buy that property. Most of them are going to end up somewhere. So like there are going to be people that come in for Envy, but end up at the W. There are people and vice versa. Like, so knowing that, having the other property sort of in your back pocket to be able to take them other places is what makes you look like you're that new construction expert. They don't know what they don't know. And unless they're following a specific person or they heard about this particular property and it lines up with what they already wanted to do. So I'm looking for a place in Miami and I heard about the Viceroy, but they don't know the difference between Miami and Fort Lauderdale. So I had a client tell me, Nate, everything south of Palm Beach is Miami to me. Because he didn't know. He was like, I don't know. So I'm depending on you to tell me this is what I'm looking for. So I heard about this cool project and this cool project. So knowing all of those projects, someone could very well, and Shoma Bay gets a lot of marketing because they're doing, ISG does all of their stuff from Shoma Bay. A lot of those Miami reports that Craig posts on the videos, the Shoma Bay logo is in the back. So they're pushing Shoma Bay really hard. So people may see Shoma Bay, but they want to be a pump and they don't know because they're just seeing all this information. So making sure, even if the communication is questionable, if they have what your client is looking for, then most good agents are going to perk up there. So they might not necessarily be super communicative when you're just trying to get information, but hey, I got a buyer. How can I help? So, and then it can work out from there, but making sure that you just know those property, don't dismiss them. But if you don't have that ease of communication, if you don't have the resources, because that's what's going to help you stand out as those people come into your funnel. Having a team of people around you that are super responsive. Somebody comes in, asks for some information about Envy, and you can get Gabby on the phone. You can get her on a Zoom. And then now, there you go. And now they'll be like, man, Joy is awesome. She got me all this information. I don't think Envy is it though. Joya, what else do you have? And then you can take them to us because now you're the plug. Like you gave them the information. You got cool points because you got her presentation. Your client now knows that you're the resource and you have enough information from them to be able to take them some other places. Because very often in that first interaction, when you're on that Zoom with your client, and that client is going to tell Gabby stuff that you haven't talked to her about yet. So now you get more clarity on whether they want a big unit or east-facing unit or west-facing unit. Do they need more parking spaces? Like all of the stuff that comes out in the presentation. And then after that, when you do the debrief, you can say, well, it is great, but I think you might want a device. But when you sound like you want to be closer to nightlife, you might want Andare, you might want something else. So, and that's where being able to call advice for it becomes, hey, I took her over here. She got this presentation and this was her feedback. Because now when you go to that next presentation, you can set whoever the on-site salesperson is up for success. Because, we already went there. She liked this, but she didn't like that. So now they're able to frame whatever that next project is.
You're calling that sales rep on the way saying, hey, she likes this and miss.
Yeah.
We'll see you in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Either on the way or if we're doing virtual, like a lot of times it's Zooms for us. I do a debrief and then I call the other on-site agent and I say, this is what just happened.
Thanks for tuning in to the Iconic Agent New Construction Marketing Podcast for Realtors. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast player. Visit theIconicAgent.com and grab the new construction buyer traction blueprint. And don't forget, join the 5,000 plus strong new construction marketing community at www.theIconicAgent.com/community. Catch you on the next episode.